All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So as we all know, the New York Jets are going to be taking on the Denver Broncos in Mile High this upcoming Sunday at 4:05 kickoff. And I wanted to bring on my buddy Rich from the Mile High Roundtable Network. How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm pumped for this week's game. I mean, the Jets are obviously 0-2. The Broncos are 2-0. And that really just going to jump right into the first question here. And by the way, Denver, AFC West, it's a stacked division. How do you feel about the Denver Broncos? And yeah, they've beaten the Jaguars and the Giants, but they're 2-0 right now. They're ahead of teams like Kansas City. I mean, they're right there with Oakland or Las Vegas. How do you feel about the Denver Broncos off to a great start?
Well, if you asked me at the beginning of the season if the Broncos and the Raiders would be tied at the top of the AFC West division, I had an inkling that given our schedule, who we were playing, that the Broncos had a legitimate chance at being at the top of that division. If I'm going to be honest, I did not expect the Raiders to be there with us. Obviously, you alluded to the Chiefs. They're kind of the 800-pound gorilla, if you will, in the division, having been so successful for a sustained amount of time since they got Patrick Mahomes. And the Chargers have seemingly figured out their quarterback position as well. Herbert, again this year, seems to have continued his success from the year prior, which as a Broncos fan is I'd be lying if I say I wasn't concerned. It's a stacked division. I completely agree with you. But in terms of our 2-0 start, I am perhaps on the more realistic side of the fan base in terms of I believe you need to assess the opponents in which you faced. And, you obviously can't control who you face, but you still need to be realistic and assess who you faced. And I think the real test for us will be both the Jets game, having come off your 0-2 start. I imagine you guys are going to be pretty fired up to not want to make that 0-3. And then we really get into a much more difficult test, I believe, based on past years, combined with the Ravens and the Steelers, which are really going to be our biggest tests, in my opinion, coming up in 2 weeks from now.
Right. And by the way, all of Rich's links are down below in the description box, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram as well. Denver's 2-0. We already know that this team has a bunch of veterans on defense. It's a great defense. They have offensive weapons with, numerous guys, Fant, Sutton, Melvin Gordon, the list goes on. But I feel like the biggest question mark for this team the last couple of seasons has been the quarterback position. You guys brought in Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Lock is still on the roster. How do you feel about and by the way, Teddy has looked really, really good so far. I've always been a big fan, but I've never really thought that Teddy was some, top 5, top 10 guy. But he's accurate. He knows the system and he manages the game. But I feel like with this Denver Broncos defense, or with this Denver Broncos team, rather, he has the potential to go above and beyond. How do you feel about Teddy Bridgewater so far?
Teddy is, I think, really what the doctor ordered for our team. Not every quarterback like Teddy is a good fit. I mean, there's plenty of teams in the NFL that I could just list off where Teddy should not go there. He really belongs on a team like ours. We had a very, very young receiver core. So you just mentioned quite a number of those guys. Sutton, believe it or not, still on his rookie deal, is basically the oldest receiver that we have on our roster. So, I mean, that says a lot. He was picked in the first round, and I think this is the last year of his deal. So you have KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, who's now out with an injury, short-term IR there. And then you have a few of these other younger wide receivers that are kind of up and coming in Seth Williams and
Patrick is another guy who I really like.
Well, I like Tim Patrick, but I kind of misspoke slightly. He's kind of the other older receiver in the room. He's about the same kind of years in the league, if you will, as Sutton. But we have a lot of weapons, and they really need the polish. And so someone like Teddy, who is a polished quarterback, can help them. He can really show them the way to do things, the right way to do things. He can tell them, no, you need to be in this spot at that time. I don't care how you get there, just get there. And that's what he's been missing, or our receivers rather have been missing with younger quarterbacks, because the younger quarterbacks are learning their position as well. So you can't have them dictating to the wide receivers when they're still trying to figure out what to do themselves.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, you take a look at this Denver Broncos team, and I mean, I guess there's a couple ways to word it. Where do you think the weaknesses lie? Or I guess in other words, where can the Jets exploit? If the Jets want to have success this upcoming Sunday, what can they do?
Well, this one here, I have some notes having watched the Jets games recently to kind of brush up on the opponent to be, and I actually was quite impressed with your interior defensive line, and it particularly generally how you guys played against the Patriots. There's a few times where the defensive linemen were kind of brushed off their lane and kind of some runs got loose. But generally speaking, you guys were getting some good pressure up the middle of the field. Both at the offensive center and the two offensive guard positions. So your D end and your nose tackle there. I was really, really impressed on how they pushed that line back. And then you guys also had a relatively good offensive line that gave Zach some pretty good protection during the majority of that game. Obviously, there's a few minor exceptions to that, but that's really the 2 points of positions or 2 position groups where I believe the Jets can have a bit of an edge, if you will, over the Broncos. The Broncos have deep interior defensive line in terms of overall talent, but we have not traditionally had really good push or penetration in the interior of the defensive line, more just pressure, which I see as 2 different things.
Interesting. So, Zach Wilson, 2nd overall pick out of BYU, the sky's the limit for Wilson. He has all the tools in the world, the arm strength and mobility, quick release accuracy. I could go on and on, but so far he's flashed, but he's also had some negative plays, and he's coming off of a horrible game. Let's be honest, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions against the division rival Pats in the home opener. Is there a possibility? Can you see Zach Wilson bouncing back against this Broncos defense?
And short answer as a Broncos fan, no, I hope not. However,
let me kind of rephrase it, not to cut you off, but not saying, I'm expecting 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Just can he put up a typical quarterback performance?
I would say it's possible. So, for example, if the interior of our offensive line can maintain that pocket for Zach, and he can maintain his composure, then I think he'd have a pretty good shot at regrouping and bringing himself back up to, something better than he showed against the Pats. If we're able to get pressure on him, and frankly, I think the most likelihood of us getting pressure is going to be from Von Miller and the other outside linebacker positions, and also the inside linebacker rushes that we sometimes get the blitzes from the inside linebacker position. I think if we get some of those home and bring Zach Wilson down with those, I could see him starting to get skirmish in the pocket, start making some rush decisions because he's a rookie, and I could see that becoming an issue.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm nervous of is, failing to establish the run early, so we're constantly in 2nd and 3rd and longs. But Rich, I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you're a busy guy, and I just want to say thanks.
I appreciate it. And I checked out your channel, great videos, and I'd love to have you back on our channel and talk more Jets when the time arises.
Definitely. 100%. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.